Hello guys, welcome back to Hey Manager Ruben Amorin, and today another HayChat, another topic of discussion that I think is quite interesting, especially being a Manchester United fan, but interesting for the world of football. Now, Alejandro Garnacho is an absolute phenom. We do know he's been very good over the last few years, especially under Ten Hag. We saw him come through. I won't call him a phenom so much. He's very good, so to speak. But for me, he's just not cutting the mustard at Manchester United. Now, I'll quickly show you a graphic and what I've come up with over the last 3 years. Now, I've highlighted some of Garnacho's strengths. Now, this is what we've done over the last 3 years. Obviously, United have been in varying competitions. Alejandro Garnacho is only 20 years of age, so 18 years old when he started playing for United, really come on leaps and bounds. And I think, as well as that, maybe the actual ego has come on leaps and bounds as well, as we've seen troubled sort of tweets with his brother and all sorts coming through. But for now, we're going to focus on Garnacho and his actual play, how he plays in game. So matches played, we've got the last 3 seasons, so as you can see here, 34, 50 and 58 respectively over the last 3 years. This year being his, well, the most played matches this year, as you can see there. Then goals-wise, 11, his highest output, but only 1 better than last year, but 8 more games. Assists-wise, his best year by far. Bit less selfish, should we say. He's always been quite a selfish player in my eyes. But this year, 10 assists is probably his best year for creative output altogether. Progressive carries again as well this year, obviously on the upside, but still quite consistent. Take-ons attempted. Now, he has regressed a little bit from that this year, and as you can see as well for the take-on success percentage, that has also regressed only by marginal amounts. So we're not seeing, I don't think we're seeing peak Garnacho is what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying to show that over the years, especially from the first year, you can see 5 goals, 4 assists, all-round creative player, the 22-23 season when he was 18 years of age, 34 games, a lot of them off the bench, not much game time, 49 progressive carries, not really that high, take-ons attempted, still quite high considering he was on that left wing and quite young, but the take-on percentage does reflect that it's not as good. Then the year after, under Ten Hag, won the FA Cup, pretty decent year, 191 progressive carries, sort of trying to establish himself in that left wing spot, but not really the output. In 50 games, 10 goals, 5 assists. I know some of them might have been off the bench, but it's not fantastic, is it? 3 take-ons attempted per game, only 1 being successful, if you look at the percentages in the actual game time there that he has. It's not fantastic. Then this year really did come into fruition. So 21 goal contributions altogether in 58 games, which is decent enough. It's decent for a 20-year-old. Then your progressive carries, 204, especially in this United side. I need to highlight that for now, anyway, specifically. Take-ons attempted, obviously he's playing this new system. He's not going to have that freedom that he normally has in that left wing spot. So, yeah, something that we need to focus on there. And then take-on success percentage, quite consistent. So what can I read from this? So we can see that his goal-scoring ability is there. He's getting 10 goals, 11 goals in the Premier League for a struggling United side. So I think the goal-scoring ability is there. If you look at some of the goals he scores as well, really decent goals. And even the one in the FA Cup final where just pounced on the error from Manchester City, I think about some of the other games where he cuts inside onto that right-hand side, from that left onto his right, and then curls it and whips it. It's quite a nice, technique he's got from there, and it's not really been, the team's not really facilitated that potential that he's had in that signature move that he's trying to develop there. So overall, 45 goal contributions in 142 games for a United team, which is struggling, as well as the fact that he's been 18, 19, 20, it's the early years of his career, I think it's pretty good. His take-ons attempted, again, we're not looking at someone who's shy to take on players. 3 take-ons a game, that's pretty decent if you ask me. The take-on percentage could always be better if you compare him to other players in the leagues as well. I think if I just have a quick flick through, he ranks 12th in progressive carries and such, but actual take-ons themselves, he's not really that high up, and his take-on percentage, especially this year, he's incredibly low, incredibly low. It's quite scary, really, because if you look at the top players, your peak players, look at your Mals, your Dokus, your Vinicius Juniors, it's incredibly low. Like if I try and find Garnacho in this list now that I've got at the moment, he's 942nd in the top leagues for take-on percentage, like success, which is really low. He's up there with the likes of Dumfries, Matthias Tell. Play like Dumfries, for example, is a player that is a wing back. He's not going to win his take-ons. He's going to be, it's going to be quite low. And then you look at the likes of, who did I mention? Matthias Tell, who's not had much game time. Mohamed Ali Cho, not much game time either. It's quite poor, realistically. So overall, the take-on success percentage is just not brilliant. Like the 32.8% average over the years, it's all right. But where Garnacho thrives is sort of that passion to go forward, to carry it forward. As you can see, the carries is one of the highest in the top 5 leagues. He's up there in 12th. He's really good at picking up the ball, taking the ball, and making that push forward. He suits a counter-attacking style of football, is what I'm trying to say. And that's why I've selected a few teams. So my first team I recommend Garnacho going to is Bayer Leverkusen. Now, they are getting rid of Florian Wirtz. I think Jonathan Tah has left. They're going to become a new type of side. I don't know who's actually going to be their manager for the next year, but as you can see here, Florian Wirtz, 10 goals, 11 assists. We look at what Garnacho did this season. It was 11 goals, 10 assists. It's quite interesting to look at the comparisons between them two and what Garnacho could potentially bring to the Leverkusen side. Now, it is Ten Hag who is in charge, I believe it is, and also they're competing for the league. That'll be another one. They finished second, so they are looking to try and compete for the Bundesliga, and they're in the Champions League again. It's quite a good side to go to at the moment, and attacking set pieces, coming from losing positions is another thing that Garnacho's been brilliant. Attacking down the wings is something that they've been really good at. Finishing scoring chances, counter-attacks is very strong as well, which is something that we want to try and get Garnacho into. Now, if we look at their overall top players, you look at Schick being up there with the goals, same with Wirtz and Boniface, something that we know Garnacho can produce. We also know he's pretty decent with the assists, as we saw this year, but Wirtz is obviously one of those players which is very, very good, going forwards. But will we see something different from them this year? That's the question. Frimpong as well, believing. And then if we look at the actual Bundesliga, their styles of play, they do play 23 times a 3-4-2-1. Now, I think if Ten Hag plays a 4-2-3-1, we know that he's played it everywhere he's been, but I think if he wants to try and play this 5 at the back, this 3-4-3 that everyone's trying to play nowadays, he could just take Wirtz's spot. Wirtz would go, wander out to the left, cut inside a lot. I think he'd suit that role a lot, but he's not as creative as Wirtz. That's the only thing. He's not a very creative player. Will he have time to adapt? Wirtz is 22 for the last 2 years. He only really shone last year to a degree, but previous to that, he's been a very creative player, very good on the ball. Will we see Garnacho sort of mould himself into one of those players? That's the question. Do we think as well, potentially, will we see the likes of, I want to see if Ten Hag wants to play like a 4 at the back and then 2 in midfield and then, a 3 and a 1 up front. That's the question. But I think Garnacho is going to go to Leverkusen. He's got to, in my opinion. That's one of the options I've got so far. The next one is Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund went on a massive win streak towards the end of the season. They were pretty decent in the Champions League. They've got a very young side with quite a few bits of experience in there. You see Chan, you see Benson Baini, Brandt's in there now, Anton Garassi. But other than that, they've got a pretty nice younger side. If we look at how they actually play, again, counter-attacks in there, finishing, scoring chances, individual skill is a very strong, creative, point that they like to do. So I think if we look at this as well, Gittins is going to go to Chelsea. Jamie Gittins, Bino Gittins as we probably know him. We'll have to have a look at how he plays. I think Garassi, 21 goals, 8 goals for Gittins. I think if Garnacho can get in there and try and play alongside Garassi, try and be a provider plus a goal scorer, that's brilliant. That's what they need, and they need someone to really bring some more goals to the side and be a bit more of an attacking threat. They did play mostly 4-2-3-1 this year, with Gittins on the left, Adeyemi on the right, Garassi up front, and then Brandt in behind. So replacing Gittins, it's a like for like. Will they be able to afford him, though? That's the question with Borussia Dortmund. They've not been too great this season. I think they finished 3rd overall, 4th. It was 4th overall. They finished behind Frankfurt. I think it's a good fit, but will he go? That's the question. We'll have to see if he goes to Dortmund. The next one is Marseille. Now, Marseille have had a mass amount of investment over the last few years. They've brought in a lot of young players, and I mean a lot of them. You've got Mason Greenwood, for example, who I don't like mentioning, to be honest with you, but he's there. We've got Jonathan Rowe, who's joined. We have Elyi Wahi, who came and left, but they're trying to bring in players who are going to make a direct impact straight away, but are also quite young. Now, this is the thing. This is where I think they're going to be very, very good, and obviously managed by De Zerbi. They're very good at counter-attacking football. That's how he played at Brighton. Very good at getting forward, coming down the wings, shooting, attacking down those sides, creating long shot opportunities, through balls, individual skill, short passing. It's all how they like to play. Now, the style of play does, contradict a little bit. They do apparently like to attack through the middle, but they do go down the wings. And as you can see here, if we go to the bottom, they've got some good output. 21 goals by him. Guri in there, and Rabiot and Luis Enrique, who has now left. So Luis Enrique has gone to Inter Milan. But assist-wise, they need a bit more of a boost. They need someone who can come in and be a bit more of, that better player in there. I know Guri's very good at linking in the play, but overall, do I think what they're going to try and play in there? I think they're going to lean towards this 4-2-3-1. It's how De Zerbi likes to play, and then they mould back into a 3-4-2-1. If you look at their 28 goals, 25 conceding in that 3-4-2-1, but as soon as you go to the 4-2-3-1, less goals conceded, more wins, more goals. That's the thing, or a higher win percentage anyway, let's put it that way. Luis Enrique on the left-hand side, he is now gone. The numbers, I think he could probably replace him, maybe. I think that might be the way forwards. Wahi is no longer at the club. He's gone to... Has he gone to Frankfurt? I think he's gone to Frankfurt. But yeah, I think this would not suit him so much. He'd probably be able to play in the Rabiot role, but if he plays on that left-hand side, Greenwood on the right, they get a new striker in, and then Guri can play in that attacking midfielder role. I think that's a very strong side. I think it's a really strong side. Plus, they're playing Champions League football. Next up's Napoli. Do I think Napoli will sign him? It's a questionable one. They've brought in De Bruyne, which is going to be interesting as well. Ex-player, ex-teammate in Scott McTominay. But how are they going to play? That's the question. Kvaratskhelia, really good left winger, 24 years of age. The output was quite minimal, to be honest with you. If you look at actually how many appearances he had, so he had 15 games, 5 goals, 3 assists, which is about half, which is what you'd expect Garnacho to really get, to be honest. So Kvaratskhelia, a top player, really just from the Champions League with PSG and also the titles, both titles in fact. So I think they're very good. They don't really play counter-attacking football, but what they do is, try and attack down the wings and create chances using them, the individual skill, which is what Garnacho's got. So I think they'd be pretty good, to be honest. And McTominay had a wonder season. I don't think you're going to get some output like that again. Lukaku has been on an absolute storm. Now, I think Kvaratskhelia, the replacement, would be ideal to be Garnacho. I mean, playing the likes of David Neres, who's not really been that great this year. The 4-3-3 suits Garnacho as well, as we saw them play. The 4-2-3-1, where they had McTominay in behind, Guissa and Lobotka, then Politano and Kvaratskhelia. But I think a 4-3-3, your midfield of Lobotka and Guissa, Scott McTominay, bombing on. You've got Lukaku in there, and then you could play Politano on the right, who's been fantastic for them, and then David Neres, who, if we have a look up here, David Neres, 2 goals, 4 assists in 13 games, 15 off the bench. He's not fantastic, is he? So I think that could be a fantastic opportunity to bring someone in who is going to be very good offensively. But is it their main concern? Their defence is getting old. I don't think they're going to bring in, a player who, in all honesty, is going to, be another attacking threat. I think they're happy with their attacking threats. They've got Giovanni Simeone as well in there. Okafor, for example, who's coming through. They've got a fantastic midfield, but Juan Jesus getting older, Spinazzola getting older. I mean, they need to try and get new defenders in to really support that back line, because at the moment they're relying on these older players. I know it's not as fast, the Italian sides, but if they want to progress in the Champions League, they need a younger defence. And then the last place I recommend is Atalanta. Now, Atalanta are an interesting side. They've got Champions League football yet again, I believe they finished 3rd. Let me just double check. I think they did anyway, if you can find the actual table. Atalanta finished 3rd, they did, and I think they had a decent year, to be honest with you. If you look at Ademar Lookman, That's who I think is going to be leaving. I think he's leaving this year. He had a fallout with the manager. The fallout, and that manager's now gone to Roma, so potentially he could stay. Who knows? But I think Lookman might leave, and that'd leave a bit of a gap. And I reckon bringing in Garnacho, 20 years of age, it's a fantastic signing for them. I mean, 15 goals, 5 assists by Lookman. The goal-scoring opportunities that you're going to see Garnacho having is going to be off the charts. Retegui as well in there, who's fantastic. I think this team needs him. If you ask me, I definitely think it needs them. Now, very counter-attacking, creating scoring chances, are very strong, so we're going to get a lot of chances attacking down the wings yet again. Retegui and Lookman are up there. We've got great support. I think Retegui is very good at linking play. Di Ketelaere is a very, very underrated player. Martin de Roon, again, another underrated player as well, who's very good at assisting. So I think it's going to be a good year to go. The only thing is they do play this 3-4-3 type of formation. Now, where does he fit? I think he fits in that Lookman role. Now, I think Lookman's leaving. This is why I recommend it to Atalanta. Do they need to try and bring in another forward, though? I don't think so. That's the only thing. But this is the only place I've looked at across all the leagues. I don't know where else he could probably land Garnacho, because that's the only question I've got of him. Like, where is going to sort of put their money into Garnacho? I don't really know. That's the question I'm going to pose. That's the question I'm going to ask you guys. What do you think? Where do you think Garnacho is going to go? Where do you think he'll end up? I think he's going to go for a big fee. If you're looking at maybe 50, 60 million, potentially up to the 70s with add-ons. That's Great British pounds, that is. If you're looking at euros, it's definitely 70 million euros. I think £50 million is a good fee for Garnacho. I think the output you're going to get is going to be quite... You'd have to sort of, reel it in. I was looking at maybe Milan, because Milan are a good side that are going to be rebuilding, but they've got Rafael Leao, who, again, someone who's not got massive outputs. Great talent, but not massive outputs, which is a like for like with Garnacho. So I think Garnacho needs to go to a side like a Dortmund, like a Leverkusen, like an Atalanta, teams that are competing. They're in the Champions League, they're doing well, but they're rebuilding, they're trying to bring youth in, and that's their game. That's their game, realistically. And I think, another one that I was thinking about showing, but I know they've got PSR issues, is actually Aston Villa. Will Aston Villa try and get Garnacho? Now, he's going to be much cheaper per week than your Rashfords. Obviously, he's going to cost a lot of money, which is the only issue. Like, I don't think Aston Villa are going to be able to afford him whatsoever, but I think that Aston Villa side suits a player like Garnacho really well. A youngster that, if you can try and embed into him, running back, getting back, tracking back, they play a 4-3-3, they allow you to get wide and interchange. I don't know, I think it suits him, but I think the best place is Leverkusen. They're going to, Ten Hag knows him, 4-2-3-1, bringing him in straight away. Wirtz should probably replace the output to a degree that Wirtz would give you for a third of the price, and then potentially bringing him in to Dortmund. I think replacing Bino Gittins, who didn't have that much output, but now you're going to be able to get a mass amount of output out of someone. I think he's going to be able to go there. He'll become a star. He'll be playing alongside Job, Bellingham. That team looks pretty good as well. Schlotterbeck, Kobel, Ryerson, I quite like it. And it only needs a few minor changes in there to make them compete again. They did a very good job of beating a Barcelona side that were very, very strong, by the way. Obviously, I think things ran out for them 2 years ago. They were in the Champions League final. I think, Dortmund or Leverkusen. It's going to be Germany. It's got to be Germany, I think, between those two. Marseille's a bit of an optimistic view, but yeah, I think overall he'll end up at Leverkusen. And that's my summary. So, what do you guys think? Let me know down below in the comments what you think of Garnacho, where you think he'll end up, if you think he'll end up anywhere. I think he's definitely going to leave. He's fallen out with the club. He's a bit of a character, let's put it that way. Especially someone that's tricky to manage because he wants to be playing, he wants to be the star, he thinks very highly of himself. The ego's there, the brother's a bit of a nuisance online, let's put it that way. So as long as you get the fans behind him, which they were behind him at Manchester United until this whole fiasco started. I even have a t-shirt from him because he scored in the FA Cup final. It's just one of them that I just think we have to move on, and I want to see him succeed somewhere else because I do think he's got bags of potential. So Let me know down below if you guys did enjoy this video. Please leave a like as ever, subscribe if you are new, and I shall catch you in the next one. From me, Alex, have a great day. Ciao.